Thank you, Yolanda. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular council meeting for tonight, Tuesday, April 18th. I'll call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. And we'll start off with a territorial land acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the township of Allyn-McCulloman is located on the Mississaugan-Ashanindic territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississaugan-Ashanindic. The township of Allyn-McCulloman respectfully acknowledges that the Mississaugan Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Moving on to item 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Anybody have a declaration? Deputy Mayor Stover.
Yes, through you, Mayor Local, and I'll pass it over to Madam Clerk. It has to do with agenda item 9.1, library board meeting minutes in regards to the budget, and the reason being litigation with the library board. So I will pass that over during break.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Seeing you, none other. That'll be recorded. Next, we have item 4, approval of the agenda as circulated. Be it resolved that the agenda of the regular council session of Tuesday, April 18th, 2023 be approved as circulated. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Booth and seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any discussion? Yes, go ahead, Yolanda. You want to add?
Through you, Mayor Logo. I just wanted to point out that there has been a couple of addendums added to the agenda. Item number 7.1, a council report from Daryl Hall on a refreshment vehicle. And also in the communications section under 10.5, the Alderville First Nation information to third parties with interest in Alderville First Nation land.
Okay. Thank you, Yolanda. We'll be getting them to eventually or sooner on and later on in the agenda. All in favor? That motion is carried. Next, we have approval of the minutes. This is our regular council meeting minutes of February 2nd, 2023. Could I get a mover and a seconder for these minutes? Deputy Mayor Stover and Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussions? All in favor? Carried. Now we have a business arising from the previous minutes. Any business you want to discuss? Seeing none, that'll be duly recorded. Now we're going to move on to the building planning department, and we have a council report from Daryl Hall, CBO, MBEO, planning assistant, dated April 18th regarding refreshment vehicle renewal approval. Daryl, anything to report on, you want to talk about in this report?
No, I think everything's through you, Your Worship. Everything's on the report. It's just it's an existing chip truck that's been there for a few years. It just requires council's approval every year to for their license. So that's what the report's for.
Okay. Can I get a mover and a seconder to put it on the table? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any comments or discussions? Yeah, it looks pretty straightforward. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Next, we're going on to item 8.1, administration, and it's a council report from Pat Kemp, clerk, dated April 18th, 2023, regarding the strategic plan update and timelines. Are you going to, Pat's not able to attend tonight, so Troy's going to take us through this.
Sure. Through your worship, yes, as you can see by the report, it was brought back to council with some date changes and stuff like that. So really, we need to, get this approved so we can start the process for our strategic plan. So if everyone's looked at it, agree with the dates and the questionnaire, we can start this process and get it out.
Thank you, Troy. Any, I'll move her in a second first. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover. Seconded by Councillor Booth. Any comments regarding the dates or anything that's in front of you? Mary Catherine?
I'm just wondering, and I don't think we have to change what's in front of us, but I'm wondering if there might be a need to have depending on what happens with the acting or interim CAO, another meeting once they're have arrived, because this is bridging when we're one CAO to the other CAO. So I don't think we need to change anything. You can correct me if I'm wrong, CAO Gilmore, but my sense is that we should have it in our back of our head that we might need a bridge meeting on that of some sort.
Go ahead,
Through
Mike, or
through
go ahead.
your worship, yes, you are correct. I have discussed it with our clerk, and there will be a bit of a transition that needs to be done. So we may have to add an extra date in there if needed, but we are aware of the whole position change and transition to make sure the whole process goes smoothly. So we have discussed it, and we'll just see how the whole process unfolds, I should say. So
Okay, and you'll keep council up to date?
that is correct.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That motion's carried. Next, we have council report from Todd Kemp regarding dated April 18th, 2023, regarding an update on the insurance coverage. Troy, you want to make any comments?
Through your worship, yes, I'll just comment that, for $750, which, really is not budgeted, but it's not a large amount. But for $750, it's a great coverage for our volunteers. So really, staff just needs, approval, and we can take the necessary steps to complete this.
Thank you, Troy. Any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
Through your worship to Troy, do you know, Troy, when it would be in effect then?
I believe we could have it in effect like it's an ASAP thing. As soon as we sign up, it would start right away.
So probably within a couple of weeks
Correct.
or something, just
Yeah,
in case.
If we get approval, we'll make the necessary call. So I would say in the next few weeks, it would be done.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I guess I should have a mover and a seconder before we opened it up. So can I get a mover and a seconder? Deputy Mayor Stover and Councillor Booth, and you got the first question, so you're one ahead of us already.
Okay, I guess because the question was asked me about Canada Day and things like that, so we're well in advance of coverage in case something happens to a volunteer.
Yeah, and we discussed it with the insurance company, so they're well aware of some of our key dates that we have.
Yeah. And of course, I can't really comment because I wasn't here, but I know it was a bit of a concern in the last council group that the people were concerned about not having that type of insurance. And I think it's a great, for $750, I think it's very well spent. And look at it another way, we did save an awful lot in our insurance from the previous year. So it's something well worth the while, and it's not really taking that much money.
No.
Further questions? Mary Catherine?
I was just going to note that did come up at the Recreation, Culture and Community Development meeting, and we were just going to have a sign up list with the contact information. And so the volunteers can sign up on that day, but we will keep a list.
Okay. And that's for the list of volunteers for. the
Yes, for
Canada
things
Day or
like
just-
set up and clean up at events like Canada Day or the chili cook-off or any of those types of events.
Perfect. Further comments? Okay, go ahead, Counselor Booth.
Just one, and maybe through your worship to you, Mary Catherine, or who's ever sitting on that committee, there is a proviso in that insurance is to make sure that the volunteers are not getting paid, right? So I don't know if that could be something at Canada Day where somebody's doing the hot dogs and they're getting paid on the side or something like that. You got to be very careful because you can be a volunteer, but if you're getting money for your services, you won't be covered under the insurance.
Greg, you're cooking all the hot dogs. We don't need to pay anyone else.
Oh, yeah. Well, you need the extra insurance when I'm cooking them, but
You're already
I've done a
covered.
few years successfully, so nobody's sick yet.
If you're gonna make them, I'm gonna eat them, so.
Yeah.
But not all of them. Okay, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next, we're going on to committee reports, and we have the Allen Haldeman Public Library Board minutes of March the 13th, 2023. And we'll keep that one separate. Does anybody, because I know Deputy Mayor doesn't want to talk about that, so we'll keep this one separate. Any questions or pardon me, let's make a mover and a seconder for this first. Moved by Mary Catherine, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any questions or comments regarding the library board minutes? Mary Catherine?
I just would like to pass along through Councillor Booth that I'm very pleased to see the subcommittees for the library. I think that's going to allow you guys to get a lot accomplished. So well done.
Good comment.
I'll pass it on. Thank you.
Further questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Your arm's disappearing, Mary Catherine, but I did see a bit of it. Okay, the next one is both the Ganaraska Regional Conservation Authority. Maybe I will keep them separate. I think I will keep them separate. So the Ganaraska Regional Conservation Authority minutes of March 16th, 2023. Are you gonna move her in a seconder for that? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any discussions on this one? Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
Through you, your worship, to either the deputy mayor or maybe even Councillor Ainsworth, who's on the Trent. Has there been any discussion yet? I know we mentioned it about our fees, and would they be going down next year? Are they looking at, or because we're not being covered under like 13 different acts now with them, according to Bill?
I can bring that up again on through your Mayor Logo. I can bring that up at Thursday's meeting and ask if they're expecting any decline in the fees.
Okay.
Thank you. You want to comment too, Mike?
You're muted, Mike.
Mike, you're muted. Mary Catherine, are you still there?
I'm here. I do have a question when Councillor Ainsworth is complete.
Okay, how's that?
That's better. Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
Yeah, well, I have talked a little bit about this at Lower Trent, and but I need to make a formal like a formal complaint about it just to find out what's going on, and because I think they're expecting it is what I'm. So I'll bring it up next time, or I'll send off a motion for the next meeting.
Good, thank you. It's not a complaint neither, it's a question.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yep. Thank you, Councillor O'Neill.
I'm looking at the top of page 63 and under the GRCA policy, it says in general, no new habitable development within shoreline areas. This is probably a question for our planning meeting, but anyone here know if that is a new policy? Because it looks like it might have an impact on us.
I thought if you're talking about the presentation.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was it. I took the time to go through it. It was pretty interesting. And Lake Erie was particularly mentioned, although at the same time, I believe it was Newcastle was also mentioned locally, and there was another one too on Lake Ontario, and I can't remember what that was. I will say, Mary Catherine, a few years ago, this was more prevalent down on Lake Ontario. in our area. And, it's something we got to keep an eye on, although it's, I think I'll stop at that. Okay, so is there any further questions or comments regarding the GRCA? All in favor? Carried. The next one is short-term rental ad hoc committee minutes of March 22nd, 2023. Do I get a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover and seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any questions or comments, Deputy Mayor?
Just that, through your Mayor Logal, that we are hoping to wrap this up, if not tomorrow night, the next night, next week. I think that we have exhausted the topics and, we're looking forward to moving on and getting it completed.
Thank you. Councillor Ainsworth, do you have any comments as chair?
Yeah, and just to agree with Deputy Mayor Stover that we are going to get this wrapped up here between the next meeting and or maybe maybe two at the most, but we're going to try our best to see what we can do for the next one. And it's coming along good, and we're making some headway so we can get a report coming to council.
Thank you, Mike. Councillor Booth?
Through you, your worship. So will it be a report coming from yourself, Mike, and from the deputy mayor, or is that whole committee coming and somebody's a spokesman making a report to council, or how is it being presented to us?
I would say that it will either be myself or I might ask Jennifer Current because of the planning part with the zoning bylaw and just her knowledge on everything there. So I might ask her to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Probably good plan. Go ahead. Deputy
Through
Mayor?
your Mayor Local. Yeah, Jennifer Curran, our planner, has been instrumental in streamlining this and steering us into the directions we need to stay. And I believe she's working on the document. And just a little side note, I think should we do any other ad hoc committees, that we really need to look at the staffing time, the staff that have been involved in this so far. And it's a very expensive proposition, what we have just done with the amount of meetings that we've had. And it's been a learning curve for me, and we'll bring all our things that we've learned to the next ad hoc committee.
Okay, a good point. To my knowledge, that's the first ad hoc committee, certainly for this council, but I'm not sure if they've ever had one. It's been a long time since we've had one, and it is a big challenge. And I want to thank you, Mike, and Deputy Mayor as well for leading the group. And we'll see what the results are, but I'm sure it was a challenge, and I think you've done very well. All in favor of the report? That's carried. Okay, we're going on to communications. And first of all, we have a correspondence from Larry Spikura or Lucy
Rika.
Spirica. Thank you. Regarding Grafton Drinking Water System 2023, the operational report, report period January and February of 2023. So him not being here, I'll take a mover and a seconder to get it on the table. Moved by Councillor Booth and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Troy, do you have any comments on it, or? I think it's pretty clear and pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I'll answer any questions, do my best, but I think it's pretty straightforward right there.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments? Seeing none.
John?
Oh, yes,
Mayor
I'm
Logan?
sorry. Mary Catherine, I'm sorry.
No, it was
Yeah.
Councillor Ainsworth.
Okay, Councillor Ainsworth, go ahead.
So I just wondered about when we were going to maybe set up some time so we could go do a tour through the facility up there. And maybe look into, I know we had some discussion about this after we had our training, whether we wanted like a counselor a month to go up and go through the checklist with the fella from Lucy, and whether we wanted to do that or get because of the responsibility for it all. I don't think we really came to a consensus about what we were going to do with all that.
Yep. Troy, you have a comment?
Through your worship, maybe what I can do is reach out to Larry from Lucy and just see what's more convenient, easier for him. Maybe, you know, he has timeline constraints or whatever, so maybe I'll get a better indication for our next meeting. And we come up with maybe a schedule on, you know, for May 2nd. And I just want to talk to him just to make sure that, you know, once a week or whatever, and we'll get all council done. But I think it's a great idea. I was in the facility for my first time, believe it or not, first time. Amazing facility, amazing. I loved the tour, so you will as well.
So are we going to try and make it as a group?
Well, I don't think you can do it as a group.
Okay.
I'll talk to Pat and Yolanda maybe after, but come May 2nd, I'll have more information from Larry, what's more suitable for him, what's easier for him. And if it's all in one big tour, we'll go from there. We may do that. So.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
And through you, your worship, to Troy, maybe just if you could also add on the members of the committee, because I know for the last year they've been asking too.
Yeah.
And it's just a difficult
Yeah.
thing to, so maybe Larry can pick a couple of days, and I don't know how many people could go at once. Is it just one or two? It's not big, right?
No, it's not big. It's a small facility, and you'll get more out of it if you're down to about three people, I think. And so I just like to make sure it's okay with Larry, and one little wrong move in there and you hit something, it's just not worth it. So I'll get a better idea from Larry, and
Yeah.
I'll have those answers May 2nd.
Yeah, if it's,
Okay.
I believe there's 5 of us, and then is there 4 in the committee?
4 on the committee, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so we do
there's
3 groups or
3
whatever.
groups?
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds good.
good. No, I'll
Okay.
do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what you were referring to, Mike, when you mentioned about going up and doing tests. What were you
Well,
referring
no,
to?
we talked about like instead of maybe all council going up and like when they were doing their checks and stuff. Whether we could have one counselor one month, one counselor the next month, go up and go through them with them, and so we know ourselves what we're actually responsible for.
Okay, you're not asking to go up there and make sure they're doing their job right. You're just there to learn, to see what, yeah, okay.
Yeah, just to see what's involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to educate ourselves more.
I'll talk to Larry from Lucy, and I'll have a better idea for May 2nd.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
So can I get a mover and a seconder or do I have to do that within this one, or? I'd
Sorry.
like to get a motion that we arrange for a tour and as well as a second one, so that so people can go up and inspect, and that can be probably done any day.
Yeah.
Or every day.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So can I get a mover and a seconder? I guess, Mike, you're the ones promoting it,
Yep.
okay?
Um,
And Greg, you're seconding it?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carry. Next, we have correspondence from the Minister of Seniors and Accessibility regarding the 2023 Ontario Senior of the Year Award nominations. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any questions or comments? I think it's pretty straightforward. Oh, go ahead, Mary Catherine.
Sorry, do you want potential names now or to send them?
I'd say something like that.
Send them, I would say send them to Pat. And she will consider them for sure. And I have talked, so that's fine. Please do that and send them to Pat. And I might as well mention it while we were here talking about it, and that's the civic awards for the township. We still aren't getting that many in. So if you can think of anyone, maybe we should be passing that on to Pat as well. Because I know we got good volunteers out there and people, we just gotta get their names in there.
Mhm.
Okay?
Um,
Oh, yes, go ahead.
are you aware, is it just one person, or if we put 5 names in, we get 5 seniors of the year type thing, or? 'Cause I was kind of trying to scan through it. I wasn't just too sure how it worked.
Well, that's a good question. Because it used to be, oh no, that was for
That's-
volunteers.
That was for the citizen of the year you may be talking, right?
Well, no, I was talking about the recognition for volunteers. Where they used to do that and there used to be 10 or 15 people or 20 going for that. So that's what I was thinking
Yeah,
about, but this
and
is a
this
little
is
bit different. So I would say this is an individual that is selected to represent the township.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and it does say on there the opportunity to honor one. So you're only allowed to, the township would only be able to nominate one person.
Thank you for clarifying that, Greg.
Okay.
Took a
No,
lot.
I was thinking like you, where they used to have before, where they had a whole.
Yeah.
list of
Yeah.
people.
And that, I forget who that was put on by it was
That's
something on
the
the province.
volunteer on for the province.
Yeah.
They still, you can still do a whole bunch for that.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'm just wondering if we sent our senior's name into Pat, and then would we pick
well, if there's,
our amount? Like, I don't know if I've got the same person as Mary Catherine, so.
well,
just-
we only have, go ahead.
Sorry, if I could just interject. So in the correspondence, it does say to send this around to the members of council. So each member of council potentially could submit their own nomination via the link that is in this correspondence.
Okay,
And what happens is, once you have submitted a nomination online, a personalized certificate with your nominee's name will be sent to you directly. So if Pat is sending in a nomination, I'm assuming she only has one opportunity to send one nomination. So
Okay.
I'm assuming that council each has an opportunity to submit a nomination.
oh, okay.
To, just to clarify, to here, to this group or to
There is a
Pat?
link here. No, there's
Oh.
a link that you would click onto in order to submit that nomination. And then a certificate would be emailed directly to you with the nominee's name on it.
Okay, and how do they select one?
I don't know.
Well, that's a good
That's
question.
something that the Ontario government would have to do, but
Well, maybe perhaps Pat or yourself can,
Well, it'd be on their webpage right there. There's
Yeah.
another link that would have all
there
the
is.
okay,
requirements or,
All right.
or scoring or whatever it may be. So it's all on that correspondence that you had, the link to nominate a name, and then what's the scoring or.
perhaps we can, Troy, you can have someone let us know what that exactly is and bring it up at the next council meeting, so we,
Yeah, we could copy those links and send them out too.
We can, but at the next council meeting, it would be too late because the deadline is April 30th for the
Yeah.
nominations.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, if we can each send one out, we'll inundate the system with names.
April 30th. Well, April 28th. Well, we should have everything ready by then, but.
No,
Maybe. Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
this award gives each municipality the opportunity to honor one of their outstanding local seniors.
Yep,
And it is addressed to the mayor and members of council. I just think that it's our job as, well-connected people in the community to decide on one person. And then submit that person. It can be submitted, either through the clerk or through the mayor, but I think it's up to council to decide who that one person is for our municipality.
and I would agree with that. But Roy will just check it out and make sure exactly what the process.
Yeah, we'll send you an email over the next couple of days what the process is, and if it is what you're saying, Councilor O'Neill, that's great. Council would send their nominations or whatever to the clerk, and then we'll have to decide and we'll get it in before the third.
On the 28th, we'll
Yeah,
decide on the
that's right.
28th,
Yeah.
if that's on the agenda, please. Okay, do we need a mover and a second for that, or is it pretty clear? Well, we'll make a mover in a second. Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. All in favor? That's carried. Next, we have correspondence from the city of Owen Sound dated April 4th, 2023 regarding support of municipality of Chatham, Kent's resolution reducing municipal insurance costs. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Allen Calderon received the correspondence from the city of Owen Sound dated April 4th, 2023 regarding support for the municipality of Chatham, Kent's resolution regarding reducing municipal insurance costs. And further, that council direction is required. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Councillor Booth and seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Councillor Booth, go ahead.
Through you, your worship. I read this and originally I was in support of it, but then I realized that this year we saved quite a bit of money. We shopped around a little bit and ours actually went down. I can't remember what it was. Troy, was it like 30 or 40% it went down? So I would just say receive and file for this. I mean, everybody's insurance is going up, but I think Owen Sound should maybe shop around a little bit. We did, and we saved quite a bit.
Other comments, Councillor Ainsworth?
Yeah, just through you, Mayor Logo. We up here at the Good Roads conference this week. This question's come up quite a bit about insurance and the liability for townships and stuff, and it doesn't seem like there's no real quick good end to it. Although it's duly noted that a lot of municipalities are having issues, you know, with both those, the cost and the liability, and so it is an issue. And there's some things Councillor O'Neill and myself were thinking on. We'll put a report together for council after the conference is over, and this will probably be part of it. Just to say what everybody's talking about.
Okay. Councillor O'Neill, do you have a further comment?
It was just that liability and that roads were in fact the largest driver for the increase in municipal insurance costs. So I didn't realize that it was the single largest driver, but yes, as Councillor Ainsworth says, we'll be filling in with more details.
There's a term for it and I can't think of it. Liability and something. Severe severance and liability, I believe is the.
Joint and several. Yeah.
Pardon me?
Joint and several liability. Yeah.
That's yes. And I'm glad you're working on it, but I can tell you this has been a major issue with municipalities for at least 10 years. And they keep pushing to get the province to try and do something about it. And hopefully maybe this time they'll be able to do it. But anyway, so you made the motion that you want to receive and file.
Mine was just receive and file, but I'm open that if they feel really strongly that we want to support them and send a letter, I'm fine with that. I mean, this year we ended up making out, you know, like bandits. We did great. The year before that, I believe, Troy, I think at budget, it was a $90,000 increase in 1 year.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just a moving target, right? Like Councillor Ainsworth and Councillor O'Neill is saying. So,
Councillor Ainsworth?
Yeah, and just to kind of add to, I would like to send a letter to support them because, I mean, when you've got a lot of speakers coming in and are kind of talking about this, and you know, part of their presentation is to, like, you know, get a hold of your members of parliament, and the more the letters that they get in support of stuff like this or not support, it's they talked about whether it's 10 people or whether it's 100 people. You know, if it's 100 people that support something like this, then it's almost like an emergency. Get on it. They're going to call a meeting. So I would say to support them, and hopefully more municipalities.
Thank you, Mike. Are you ready to take a friendly?
Yeah.
Since Mike seconded, are you ready to take a friendly?
Yeah, sure. Amend it to say receive and send a letter out and whatever instead.
Support.
Yeah. I'm fine with
Okay,
that,
so it's to support, a letter to receive and support this, and we send it out back to the this township, I guess. and all other municipalities.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, do you want me to also include the ministries as well?
Yep,
Thank you.
probably the ministries. I don't know if you have to send it to all of the townships, because unless you're sending by mail, because that's pretty expensive, but we are saying we support it. We should get back to this group as well as the
And
ministries. Go ahead. Mike?
through you, Mayor, and like also make sure that we send it off to our members of parliament.
Yep,
I think that's what they want to do also.
yep, yep. Certainly our local ones.
Yeah.
Yep. Mary Catherine?
I was gonna say, I'm not sure we have to send all municipalities, but I do want to see it sent to the people it was CC'd to at the bottom of their letter.
Okay. We'll do that. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have correspondence from the Halliburton Kawartha Pine Ridge District Health Unit regarding a certificate of appreciation. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Allen McCullough received a certificate of appreciation from the Halliburton Kawartha Pine Ridge District Health Unit regarding service and support throughout the COVID-19 paramedic. With thanks, the HKPR certificate of appreciation, COVID-19. Mover and seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover and seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Discussion? Mayor Catherine?
Just where will this be posted, Mayor Logo?
Or CAO, where would you put that?
Oh, gosh. We can put it in the staff room, so all staff see it. We can put it by the doorway for the short amount of time in council chambers, so public can see it. We'll find a spot downstairs, maybe by the front desk, because it should be something that the public could see. So I'd say maybe by the front counter, we'll put it on the little board there.
I think you did good.
And I'm gonna do a
You
little
thought about
I just covered every room there. We'll go to the front counter.
I think that's a good place to put it where people can see it. Mary Catherine?
I was just going to give a plug to the library. I was working at the library and I know that our service and circulation actually increased. And so the library was right there at the front line for the municipality.
Well, it's a great idea, Mary Catherine, and we'll put it out here for a month or so, and then we'll give it to Councillor Booth and let him distribute it and then bring it back and maybe we'll move it to a different spot.
Super.
Okay, or maybe we can photocopy, can we or not?
Yep.
Well, then we can put them up in 2 or 3 places. Might as well. It's good advertising. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Next we have correspondence from a group of them. Alderville First Nation dated February 1st, 2023. Information to the third parties with interest in Alderville First Nation and the Federation of Ontario Cottagers Association dated March 2023 regarding the FOC alert newsletter. AMO Communications dated March 30th, 2023 and April 6th, 2023 regarding the AMO watch file. Roma Communications dated April 1st, 2023 regarding the news from Roma, and Communications dated April 5th, 2023 regarding the AMO policy update, less red tape, stronger economic act introduced and upcoming AMO events. And final one is the Canadian Pacific Railway dated April 4th, 2023 regarding the Canadian Pacific 2023 Vegetation Control Program. I'm just reading, well, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the following correspondences be received and filed. The Federation of Ontario Cottage Association, FOCA, dated March 2023, regarding their alert newsletter. AMO Communications dated March 3rd, 2023 and April 6th, 2023 regarding the AMO watch file. The Roma Communications, April 1st, 2023 regarding news from Roma. And the AMO Communications dated April fifth, 2023 regarding AMO policy update, less red tape, stronger economic act introduced in upcoming AMO events, and the Canadian Pacific Railway dated April fourth, 2023 regarding Canadian Pacific 2023 vegetation control program. I think we need to move her and second to receive and file, unless you want to pull any one of those out that you want to discuss. Deputy Mayor Stover?
I did want to pull one out.
Okay. Which one did you want to?
It's page 107, and I believe time's not on our side for this, but it has to do with the 2023-2024 inclusive community grants. And we can apply for up to $60,000 for projects. And I was wondering, and it's to help older residents and people with disabilities participate in community life. And I was thinking about our trail systems and benches. So maybe because of the turnaround here of April 20th, Mr. CEO, do you think?
April 20th?
Or April 20th, yeah. Is this a little bit out of our realm?
Well, I won't say that, but it's something I'll look at first thing in the morning and just see what's involved or whatever, so.
Because
I can
the
look at it.
benches would be,
Yep.
if we do the that plastic wood like they did over at the post office, they're running about $800 a piece.
Yeah, and I do think that, you know, we have something on the go for funding for some benches, but
Okay,
just so you know, so if this doesn't work out, I think you'll get good news here shortly. So
oh, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Do you know which one that was? That was AMO file? Was it?
That was page 107 of the new
Page
agenda,
7?
and it is under provincial matters. Applications for inclusive community grants.
Okay. It was under AMO,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's under the March 30th
March
edition.
30th. Okay. So we've held that. We've answered that. Anybody else want to have any questions regarding that? Or any of those? I guess the only one that I would comment, I think that Public Works should be probably made aware of the Canadian Railway dated April 4th regarding the Canadian Pacific 2023 vegetation control program.
through your worship, yes, they have the correspondence.
They already have
Yeah,
that.
they get the correspondence.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And Alderville Land Code, I think everybody's clear with that. Okay, so other than the Roma one that Joan wanted to pull, and we'll ask Troy, get a mover and a seconder to see if you can do anything in 20 days, in 2 days. If I get a mover and a second, Joan, I guess you should move that.
I'll move it.
Seconder,
Thank you.
seconded by Councillor Booth. And that is so that they're going to take a quick look and see if we can get something prepared by the 20th and get that submitted. All in favor? That's carried. And for the rest of them that we did not discuss anything specifically on, but I read them all. Can I get them? We already have a mover and a seconder for that. All in favor?
No, we do not.
We did not.
No, we didn't get a mover and seconder to receive and file the rest of the correspondence.
Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill, and that is to receive and file all the rest of them. All in favor? Carried. We're going into bylaws next. Bylaw number 42, 2023, being a bylaw to appoint members of the Canada Day Parade Ad hoc Committee for the Township of Elmwood Cullivan. Be it resolved that bylaw number 42, 2023, being a bylaw to appoint members of the Canada Day Parade Ad hoc Committee for the Township of Elmwood Cullivan be read and deemed to be passed this 18th day of April 2023. If I get a mover and a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor Stover. And seconded by Councillor O'Neill. All in favor? Carried.
Mayor Logal,
Oh, that was for next next week. We have to do that for next week.
Oh, okay.
Email the CAO or email the clerk online, or there's a complaint concern form on our website to get.
The best thing you can do is use the complaint form. And it's right on the website, and if you have a concern or a compliment, that gets registered, and then they'll respond to you in a couple of days and let you know that they've received it, and you'll get a number on it and everything. Okay?
I look forward to
Thank
seeing
you.
you next week. Sorry about that.
Counselor Booth?
I know we voted on the ad hoc committee. I'm just asking, is there just going to be two members on that committee? That's quite a large thing for just two members. Is there more people on that, or I don't know, maybe Mary Catherine or
Mary
Mike can
Catherine?
answer.
Yes, myself and Counselor Ainsworth and Jennifer Steen have been working. We've had a couple of meetings already. I was going to ask, I think that might be why your hand was up as well, Counselor Ainsworth. Do we know where we are, CO Gilmore, I guess, on getting the application complete? We'd been hoping to hear back by last week. I know these two women have tentatively talked to bands and floats and different things, but they're really eager to get things firmed up, and I'd like to see us move ahead.
Go ahead, Counselor or CEO.
Unfortunately, I don't know exactly, but I can find out tomorrow morning and have an update sent out to you from Jennifer or whatever. So, but yeah, I'll find out.
I might be able to give you a bit of an update. I know that Jennifer has been dealing with people from the county and people from the OPP, and I believe they were trying to get together sometime this week to, finalize, if that's what you're talking about, the road closure. Yeah. So Troy will be able to give you more information. Go ahead, Counselor Ainsworth.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Logo. So just a question, if we want to bring somebody else onto the ad hoc committee, can we appoint them? Or do we have to go through open the bylaw back up?
Go ahead.
Well, the only reason I mention that too is usually in the past, I believe everybody's name's on there. So even the counselors, like if you're making an ad hoc committee, yours and Mary Catherine's name should be on there too, because the way it's written now, there's only two members on there. So technically, I would think you can't meet as an ad hoc committee if you're not on that. So it's best to I'm sure you can add names as you go along, but I think you still have to come to council to put them on, don't you? Because it's a committee appointed by council.
Yeah, that would be my question for sure.
Well, let's get Pat
The-
to clarify that.
So Mayor, just because we have asked a couple other people up into the north end, maybe to come and help out. So we're just
Yeah.
kind of waiting.
Yeah.
As per our procedural bylaw, Mayor Logo, sorry, we do have to appoint committee members through council. And we can amend the bylaw as well to include the council representatives before it gets signed.
Okay.
And so Mike or Mary Catherine, I guess maybe you'll just have a side list of volunteers that because there's already two members from council on there and a third can't, some of us might want to volunteer for
The day.
hot dog making or whatever it is that they're famous for. So
There historically, my recollection, there's a lot of work. I mean, you have to have a parade marshal or whatever. And, there's a lot of work.
that's why when I saw two names, and then even if you had Mike and Mary Catherine, that's a lot of work for 4 people too.
Yeah.
You're going to need a lot of, Mary Catherine's got her hand up.
Mary Catherine?
I believe this is the steering committee. This would in no way account for all the people who will be volunteering and helping out, but this is just a steering committee making sort of those high level plans.
Good. Okay. Good. Have we, and are we looking at a band? Because we had talked a little bit about a band. Are we still shooting towards that?
Yep.
Good. Are you talking about a band that marches or a band in the
Both, Mayor Local, both?
Good. Good. I think that's a great opportunity and I'm gonna, no, I shouldn't. I was gonna ask about cakes, but I'm sure you're looking after all of that things too. And do we
Yep.
have to have flags?
Yeah,
On it.
Your guys are way ahead of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay out of your hair.
We've actually been using a Google Doc and we just have a big long list and then there's one of us to each of those tasks. And then we in turn can ask other people to help with those tasks.
Okay. That's good.
Good.
Any further questions on this bylaw then? Okay. All in favor? Carried. Announcements and notices of motion. We have a notice of, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Stover.
I guess I'm up. Notice a motion. It has to do with the Bridgman severance. It's here and what I would like is first one to do with the Bridgman severance is June 6th, the government everyone has till June 6th for that will be open and it'll be to put comments forward for the suggestion of allowing up to 3 severances on agricultural property. So I'm suggesting that we do not vote until after the June 6th when it will be closed for discussion and we see what the outcome is on that. So that would be my motion at this time.
Okay, so you're not proposing that we bring it back for the,
I would propose to bring it back in June
okay.
for
May
the
or-
June
okay.
planning meeting.
Okay, the thing, I'm just making a point that we don't, you won't have any answer from the government till at least the fall.
Mhm.
Okay,
So I see the planning meeting would be June 26th.
yeah,
And that would be again for discussion.
Could
okay,
I,
so go ahead.
maybe it might be better, Deputy Mayor, we could defer this. And then I think as the mayor said, typically when you're dealing with this, it could be months afterwards, but we could instruct the planner to make sure that we're sending our comments in that we fully support the 3 severances or whatever it is that they're looking for, right? Because it's been the provincial thing that's hand tied us in the past, right?
That makes sense. That cleans it up. And I did speak to Mrs. Bridgman and so she knows that what we're doing.
Okay, one comment to Councillor Booth, and I'm not saying we're right or wrong, but this could be, there's an awful lot of farms that want to, people that want to keep farms, keep farmers farming and that type of stuff, and this does kind of take away a little bit of that.
Mhm.
So, just a comment. So what you're, but
Well,
is that our,
maybe it's just to
To
defer then
defer.
until, and it might come up in June, like you say, Mr. Mayor, that in June there's no answer and you might be deferring it again, and that's most likely what's going to happen until the fall.
yeah, but my point is that you were going to maybe ask the planner to prepare something to offering our
Well, I
support.
think it has to come before council to give direction, maybe at the next planning meeting, and we look at,
That's right.
are
That's
we
perfect.
willing to send a
Endorse.
letter from the township to support that? I think it begins with that before we can,
Yes, I do too.
Mhm,
And
that's
I
a good
think-
that's a
point.
whole hearty discussion, like you said, Mr. Mayor, so there'll be some for it, some against, but we can discuss it at a planning meeting, right?
Yes, I think it's a good topic to come up next week.
And so the other one is the fee schedule for specifically for people wanting to get a copy of their tax bill.
Okay,
And
Nope.
that I did speak to Madam Clerk about this, and she did say we could pull that segment out so we could decide what we want to do with the people that are waiting for their tax bills that didn't get them. Because at the end of next week, they're due again and they don't have their tax bills.
Sorry, Mayor Logal, if I could just bring it to your attention.
Yep.
We had that motion on the floor, but nothing was done with it and we're moving on to another one. So if we could
Sorry.
just have a decision on it.
Sorry.
Okay, that was for the Keith Bridgman.
The
And I
Bridgman.
believe with the
Bridgman.
point, rather than you're
Deferring it until till next week.
Till
Or,
ne-
well,
or
no,
next week.
after the June, maybe the June planning meeting. I had that date.
I think you said the 26th.
27th.
Okay, there's the motion. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Booth. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Next, we have notice of motion regarding fee schedule bylaw number 14, 2022. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Counselor O'Neill. Counselor or Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Sorry for jumping out of line there, Madam Clerk. This is to waive the $10 fee for the people that did not receive their tax notice in the first round of taxes. And there is a list of people that we have been in contact with, so I just bring it forward for direction here.
Thank you. Counselor O'Neill.
Would it be possible just to suspend the fee until such time as we sort out what the heck is going on?
We can consider that. Did anybody else have their hand up?
Mike did.
Oh, Mike, go ahead, Mike. We do have the Nicole here too, by the way,
Oh, good.
and I believe that she wants to, well, CAO should,
She's available.
yeah, she's available if we need her. So you want to make a comment, Counselor Ainsworth, and then we'll maybe pass it over to Nicole. Because she has
Yes,
more.
I want to agree with Counselor O'Neill, but I was also going to, because we'd asked Nicole to bring us a report on all this whole thing with the taxes and how it came about. And so if she's got something to say, I'd love to hear it.
Go ahead, Nicole. Are you there?
I am.
Oh,
Can you
good.
hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor. So just a bit of an update. As you may or may not be aware, we have contacted Canada Post through their complaint system. And so has the Grafton post office. So both of us did file a complaint. I did check back because I had our receptionist actually call it in while I was off and ensure that it was followed up on. Now, what did end up happening is they emailed back closing the complaint without actually giving us any information. But I just realized today that, Mayor, you had received a letter, and I don't think until today you knew that it was there. It was in the inbox there, but they have basically said that when we send the bills over to the post office, they not only go to Belleville for sorting, but depending on their workload, basically, they will then send them to Toronto. So I'm sure you can understand that creates another delay, if that, but you would still expect people would have received their bills. My understanding is they put it through an actual sorting machine. And what I am hearing from different correspondents and that sort of thing online it sounds like a number of people who have multiple properties are ones that maybe weren't receiving their bills for the most part. What we have done in past, and this is due to the fact that, I mean, we've historically, my understanding is that if we sent out one tax bill per envelope, you know, taxpayers that had the same mailing address and the same name on the property at multiple addresses because they own more than one, you know, would complain that, you know, the municipality was wasting money. However, I think we're at a point in time for two reasons. One, because of this issue, and I truly think that maybe, you know, maybe those envelopes being thicker or something weren't going through their sorting machine and something has happened to them. And I can't speak to that. However, that's kind of my thought process. The other thing is I think it was only a year prior to me coming to the municipality, so we're talking maybe a couple of years ago. We did get a folding and stuffing machine. Now we have had some challenges with it and had to get maintenance in. But it actually does do the folding and stuffing for us. So if we're using that machine and putting all the bills through, it will do one at a time. It's not going to, you know, the machine doesn't know if there's two duplicate addresses. Right now, myself and staff are manually going through, and there's close to 4,000 tax bills. We'll actually flip through them, and anybody who has the same name, same address, put them in the same envelope. So I know for a fact that all those bills went to the post office. I think the big concern is, you know, what happened to them after that. But one of the things that we plan on doing in June is not sorting through those manually. I mean, that's a cost to the taxpayer right there, us manually having to sort through them all. You know, trying to make sure that everybody who has more than one goes into, you know, 1 to 2 envelopes. So that would explain when you have people saying, oh, I received one bill, but I didn't receive the other 3 or 4. Because if the envelope was, you know, fat enough, then we sealed it and the rest would have gone in a separate envelope. So that's one thing we will be doing. I know there was also a question from at least one taxpayer about pre-authorized payments. So we do send out notices to all the pre-authorized payment people prior to the regular tax bills going out to notify them of what will be coming out of their account. So that was the other thing we were doing, was pulling those pre-authorized payment bills out of what we were mailing out, because they had already been notified of what their new amount would be coming out of their account. So in June, again, all those that are on pre-authorized payment, we will send them out. There is a notice that is put on those bills that says, do not pay, you are on pre-authorized payment. Some people don't see it and they do call us. So that, again, is one of the reasons that those bills would never have gone out in February, because that is one of the biggest thing is we get calls because, you know, wait a minute, we told her on pre-authorized payment, now you're sending us a bill. And they just overlook, because at the bottom is where it has the disclaimer that goes across saying, you know, do not pay. We have received very, very few tax bills actually returned from the post office back to the office, which is, I mean, any ones that did come back were sent out. We did make sure that we, you know, if there was a correction or anything to be made, those were resent out. We have had actually very few taxpayers, I would say maybe, from what the girls are telling me, 6, 7 taxpayers who we have printed, done a reprint and charged the $10 fee. I will tell you that the ones that have chose to go that route, you know, we're fine with that. They said they would prefer to do that because they would like a copy of the bill. Others, again, quite happy to know that if we give them the amount and the dates, you know, they'll make the payment. Another thing just to note, and this has gone out to correspondence to a few taxpayers as well, is that from even an income tax perspective or reporting for CRA, it's the final tax bill that we will send out in June that is required to be stamped as paid for their records. So that's really the one that is key. So I said the more that we can do to ensure that that June tax bill gets out in a timely manner to ensure that it gets through the process. I think, you know, we're not the only municipality. We're all sending them out at the same time, and with them not going directly from our local Grafton facility, we're not the only ones that are having all of our tax bills sent, you know, to Belleville or to Toronto to be sorted. So the $10 fee that is really in discussion, I think, again, historically, it's been put in place to ensure that, you know, people keep their tax bills, and B, to cover the cost. I mean, it's more than $10 easily. There's special paper that we actually order in for the purpose of the tax bills, the time of staff, and then obviously paper, ink, that sort of thing. So $10 really isn't a huge cost. I get from the taxpayer standpoint, they're saying, you know, I never received it. However, it is out of our control. It does say in the Municipal Act that we are required, we send those bills out the 21 days prior to the due date. And in fact, what we have been doing, at least since I came on, is rather than set our due date at the end of a month, we're actually setting it earlier. So what that does is that if someone, so for instance, the tax due date is actually this Friday. So if someone didn't pay till next week, we are required on the first of the month to add interest and penalties to any outstanding accounts. So it actually gives our taxpayers a little bit of leeway, and that happened in February. So even though the due date was, I believe it was like the 24th or something like that, it actually gave all of our taxpayers an additional amount of time to be able to get that paid and not have any interest or penalties added to their account. Something else just to remember is that no different than when we have to pay for a driver's license or other municipal or other government licensing and that sort of thing. The onus really is on us to make sure that we pay that. So in this instance, it's the same with our taxes. So the onus is on the taxpayer to know that they have to pay their taxes, and when they need to pay that, we do send them their notices. However, the onus is on them through the Municipal Act to ensure that those payments are being made. So I'm hoping I'm kind of covering all the different facets of it, not just the fee. However, it is in council's power. They are the ones that pass the bylaw that create the fee schedule. It is something that in my past, and we will do it again this year, I've talked to Pat, our clerk, and is to review the fee schedule. So, and we're not just talking about that fee, we're talking all the fees that the municipality charges. So what Pat and I had talked about today was proposing that in May, we would bring the fee schedule forward to all of council so that you can see it. Maybe some of you haven't really had a chance to review it. And give us some ideas of if any of those fees are things that you have questions, concerns, would like to see changes on. And then we would take it back and do what we would normally do, which is get comparisons from other municipalities, review the costs of providing any of the services that we charge fees for, and then bring back in June a new fee schedule for council to review and hopefully approves.
Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Local. Nicole, can you tell me if the arrear letters have gone out to the residents that didn't pay the first installment? I was just wondering if they received the that notice just to make sure the addresses were right or something like that, or have those notices gone out?
Through you, Mayor. That's a good question. I would have to double check with our tax clerk to see if we've sent out any arrears notices at this point. I don't believe we have. She usually does give me notification when we do that. That is one thing that even on social media, when we were doing the posts that and anybody who has contacted us, that I strongly urge a couple things. One, that they double check with us to see what address we have on file for them. And two, verify with Canada Post. Over the years, they have gone back and forth a couple times on, whether they want rural routes or just straight street addresses on the bills. And so you can imagine if these bills are going to Toronto, they have no idea about Alnwick-Haldeman. They don't know the area. So it becomes even more important that if there's a standard that Canada Post wants their address to be written as, and we ran into this, I'm sure Pat and Yolanda could tell you, at election time. So it is really important to ensure that if that rural route should or shouldn't be on there, if the street address should or shouldn't be on there, that they verify that with Canada Post and let us know if a change needs to be made.
Mary Catherine?
I don't think rural route is to be used on any communications. That's the letter I received at my home from Canada Post. But from from the municipality's perspective, they did do that in waves. But I believe everyone now has had that removed. So there should be no rural routes as far as I understand.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, and that's part of the frustration even for us, is that we are not allowed to change a taxpayer's address in the system. So I looked at it and thought, that doesn't look right to me. We should be removing the rural route. I can't do that without written notice from the taxpayer. They have to consent to us making a change to their mailing address. And that's, so getting that word out there, I think is important. Maybe it's something we consider adding. When we send the tax bills out, we put that in. However, we put that notice in the tax bill, they don't get it. They don't get the notice either, right? So
Yeah.
what other means do we have other than putting, things out in social media and that sort of thing, and trying to get the word to people to, ensure that they're updating that and updating, because what I hear a lot of times is, well, I've lived at the same address for 40 years and it hasn't changed. Well, no, physically it probably hasn't changed, and you've always had your mail come to the same place. But how Canada Post expects it to be formatted is another thing, right? So trying to get that across as well, I think is important, because at one time when you took your mail to the local post office, they were the ones that made sure it got where it needed to go. I mean, nowadays it goes to a big sorting center, and yeah, if they don't send it back to the Roseneath post office because they don't know what that address is. Yeah, so I'm not saying that, you know, it's who knows what the cause is of that mail not getting where it is. To me, I can see it being delayed. I'm hoping, because we did get a response from Canada Post, and it was from upper management, as well as the Grafton Post Office, putting something through their internal complaint system, that will assist us in, you know, making some change. I think sometimes, even if an organization is, you know, the guilty party, they're not going to necessarily admit that, but they may make some changes internally to ensure that it doesn't happen again. So,
Mike?
To you, Mayor Logo. So Nicole, a couple things. Do we have like how many people are on automatic payment versus are not? And maybe as a group, we could, like in some of our events that we're having, you know, put up a booth there and kind of get people to come over and just you know, try to help them get that done.
Go ahead, Nicole.
through you, Mayor, I would have to look up how many we have on pre-authorized payment versus not. There is a lot more than there was at one time, just due to the pandemic. So that has increased just from that. But I absolutely agree with you. I think the more people that can get on pre-authorized payment, it makes the process a lot better for everyone, and no one ever misses a payment. And there's actually two options. There's the 10 equal payments from February till November. And I say equal payments, it does change once we get the tax rates established. And then there's the 4 payments. So just like the bills that go out, they would be in February, April, June, and September. So there's 2 options for people to get on reauthorized payment.
Okay, and my second question to you was, I was listening to you when you brought up the you were changing the dates of the payment so that the people actually had an extra week and they didn't know about it. So can you explain that just for me one more time? Because I did have a couple of complaints of people that had paid their bill faithfully, and then all of a sudden they were late one day and they got, I think it's a $25 fee put on there. So I just want you to explain that to me one more time so I understand it.
Right. So when we have the option of choosing a due date within the month that we need to get the bills out. So for instance, in April, we did set it for Friday the 21st. So what that does, am I getting that date right? Yes, I think I am. So anyway, when we set that, we actually, if you go back to February, when we set the date, say to, I believe it was February 24th, we have 21 days to get those bills out. I think it's actually 20. So we mail them out on February the 3rd. They're due on February 24th. Well, if it was a business and you said, oh, this is due on February 24th, on February 25th, you would put interest on that. We don't do that as a municipality. The Municipal Act tells us that we are to add interest and penalty on the first day of the month. So we wouldn't add interest till March the 1st, even though the due date was February the 24th. So if a taxpayer, even if they didn't pay and they went online on February 24th, which unfortunately, if they go online on February 24th, quite possibly with that being a Friday, it wouldn't get posted through the bank till Monday. So it still allows us some extra leeway to ensure that still posted in February, that person would not have any interest or penalty. So are we giving them an extension per se? You could call it that, but truly we're just following the Municipal Act. If we had set the due date for the 28th of February, now we have taxpayers that realized, and they were kind of last minute, and I'm only a day late. Are you going to put interest? Yeah, we have to, because on March the 1st, we are required by the Municipal Act to put that interest and penalty on there. So to allow for a bit of leeway for our taxpayers, and it also assists with staff, because when you think you got 4,000 taxpayers, there's always going to be someone who at the last minute realizes, oops, I missed the deadline. And it also gives us the opportunity to say, you know what, we actually allowed a few extra days. You're now here on March the 2nd, and it was due on February 24th. You already had that leeway, and at this point, we will have to charge you the interest.
Okay,
Does
Mike?
that?
Yep. No, good stuff. Thanks. That's great. Good stuff.
Anybody else, any comments?
So through you, Mayor Logo, so we're back to square one with the question now. Do we put the $10 on hold until we get this figured out?
I'm not sure what you mean by that, Mike. What do you mean by on hold?
Well, I mean, because so people don't have to pay the $10 because of the Canada Post basically something happened through that process. So and I get it on both sides too. I understand it all, but it's hard for the resident to come in and even though it's $10, but every little bit counts nowadays. That it's hard for them to pay when it's not their fault or even our fault. So, just to save face with it all, I'm still in favor of of holding off on the $10 until we get it right. And then anything we can do as a team to promote getting people on automatic payment when every chance we can to try to promote that.
I guess the $10 doesn't matter so much. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter, but I'd be willing to consider something like that as long as we had some dates on it. Because I don't think you can just spend it forever. And my recollection of it is that there's about the ones that have done most of the complaining. There's about 15 people, and they have from 1 to 15 properties. So it's not just a wide, bland, open statement is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think Nicole has addressed that, right, Nicole, with the multiple properties? You're going to try something different with that. So that's good. So what do we say? We hold it.
So just so if I could, are you saying, Nicole, that you're going to stuff a whole bunch of them in the envelope? Or are you going to put individual ones? I can't hear you too well.
Okay, sorry, is that better?
Yep.
Okay, so we would be putting one tax bill per envelope. So
Okay.
if they own 6 properties, they're going to get 6 property tax bills.
Okay. Can we, and before you make that motion, Mike, can we actually contact the individual? that's having a problem, or do they have to contact us? And is there a legality stuff that way? Nicole?
I'm unsure, like, are you asking about individuals that are contacting you, taxpayers that are contacting you about getting their tax bills?
Yes.
So truly what council should be doing when a taxpayer contacts you about their personal tax bill is directing them to staff. Staff are not allowed to give out the taxpayers tax information or anything on their account to a council member. So, I mean, whether you pass them on to us or you give them our information, I mean, I think that's happened a few times. Mayor, even yourself, you have, you know, been in contact with someone and then you forwarded us the information so that we can respond to the taxpayer. And that's perfect because sometimes, you know, if they've already feel like they've tried to contact us and then they're contacting you as a last resort, what I'm experiencing is last thing they want to do is be given another phone number or email to contact. So if you can get their email and phone number, and or if they only use one or the other, and forward that on to staff, then we can contact them directly to ensure that their needs are met.
Thank you. Mary Catherine?
I did direct someone to use the compliments and concerns form, and then she didn't think any of the boxes applied, and that only made her more upset. So that didn't work out very well for us. But I'm wondering if one of the drop downs could either be other or finance or admin, or finance, just so, because I do see her point that there wasn't a spot that seemed to fit, but other might be a good category, and then we would catch anyone who's trying to use that form, because I think it is good to always use that form. But if we could have a category other, it probably would be a good idea.
Thank you. So can you arrange to do that, Troy?
Yeah, through your great idea. I think our IT Jennifer Steen would be able to do that quite easily. So I will. I'll get that done. It's a good idea.
Okay. Greg?
Through you, your worship. I guess, Nicole, so going back to Mike's point, so we should have no issue with the next one that's coming out, right? Like, we should be back on track because they're going to be single in an envelope, right?
Councillor Booth, through you, Mayor, I'm thinking that should alleviate the issue. I can't guarantee anything, but just from what I'm hearing about, you know, some people receiving one and the ones that there was more than one in, them not receiving, I'm just wondering if there's some sort of issue at the sorting facility that they're not telling us about with those thicker envelopes. So I think this is the better way to go anyway. I think that, you know, if taxpayers do say to you, oh, well, are we wasting taxpayers' money by, you know, doing separate envelopes, putting separate postage on that many properties for, you know, someone who owns 6 or 7 or maybe more? My answer would be to ensure that they're stuffed together. That has to be done manually, and the cost of staff time to do that probably outweighs the cost of that envelope.
Yeah, you make a good point, and I know, and I go back to what Councillor Ainsworth said. It's no fault of you and your staff. You've done the best you can. Canada Post is at fault for it, but we're the ones that are left with the taxpayers complaining to. And I agree with what Councillor Ainsworth was saying. When they come in, it's not so much the $10. I mean, I think to them, it's more the principle of the thing. That the honest people come in here and say, I didn't get my tax, you know, bill, and now I'm being dinged $10. And I'm just wondering if this council in some way, whether we could do something to the bylaw to say that this past tax billing if people can, if they come in and they show that they didn't get their tax bill or whatever, that we could waive the $10. Now, I know, Mr. Mayor, it could be, maybe it ends up being 100. I don't know, because if somebody had 5 property things, would they have got dinged for $10 on each of the 5, Nicole? Or do they get just dinged $10 once? It would be
No, I
10
believe
times
we,
5.
correct.
So it could be $50 for somebody, which is then, Councillor Ainsworth, $50 is worth it. But I'm just wondering, I know there's the egg's on our face and it shouldn't be. It should be Canada Post, but I just see it on social media where they're blaming the town, they're blaming the staff. We're doing the best we can. And I think for the few $100s that it's going to cost us, it's just like, let's, you know what? Then it's going to save you a lot more in staff time. But that's my suggestion. I'd be open to somebody or myself making a motion to say we waive the $10, and how we do it exactly, Nicole, I don't know, because I don't want somebody coming in that did get their tax bill and just decided that, you know, they didn't want to pay it, but I don't know how you separate those people.
Mike, you got a comment?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Lovell. Nicole. So the ones that we know are the problem with the multi properties, could we do them ourselves? Like, could we put them aside and mail them ourselves out of Grafton instead of sending them in the big package? If they seem to be the ones that are the problem issues.
Through you, Mayor, whether we send all of them over to the post office at the same time or not, all mail goes to the sorting facility. They do not send out anything until it comes back from the sorting facility. Yeah, I think at one time, my understanding is there might have been someone who was working over there for a long time who would pull out some of the ones, especially that were local to Grafton. But my understanding from conversation with our staff and the staff over at the Grafton Post Office is that no longer do they pull any you know, the local stuff out before it just all goes to the sorting facility and then comes back. And actually, I have to credit the staff over there, and I'm sure they've been probably getting, you know, a lot of people complaining to them as well. But it was the staff at Grafton that actually notified us that they received a number of the tax bills that we mailed out that come back a number of days. I think it was in the last week that the taxes were due. They, at the beginning of that week, they had got back a number of those to send out in Grafton. So that was a flag to her that the sorting facility had held on to a number of these bills a lot longer than they should have. So that's when they put their complaint in and forwarded us the number to contact Canada Post. So.
Before we decide anything, Nicole, I want to thank you for spending a fair bit of time to, well, I don't know how much time, look into a frustrating issue that we know staff has done the best they could, and we just are having a difficulty finding what really happened. So, not to put anything in. Oh, Nicole, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one more thing, and you know, thank you for bringing this topic up, and staff really have spent a lot of time on it, and I know that there's a lot expected of us by the taxpayers, and there's been maybe some question about even, you know, people getting back to them, but unfortunately the whole timing of this was terrible. The day that we sent the tax bills out was also the day that everyone started coming down with COVID and we had an outbreak, right? So I'm not sure that, you know, that's something that's been very public to our taxpayers, but we had a number of staff and council who became ill all at once, and some who were 2 weeks out of the office because they were ill. So that that could be part of the delay in responses to voicemail and that sort of thing, because it really was an unexpected shortage in staff. So I just wanted to add that.
Mayor Lobo.
Thank you.
Through you to Nicole. Nicole, are you able to run a list of people that have their taxes are in arrears? Because I know we had a list running of people that want to get their tax bill, but there might be other people out there that we don't know of. And I'm just wondering how many people, how many addresses that would affect, and how do we, if we do waive the fee, how do we get the message out to the people to come in or to send them to get them their copy? So I'm just wondering if there's a way of, if you have that list.
Through you, Mayor, we can definitely run a report that shows us the arrears. I mean, we do that when we send out the arrears notices, quite obviously. It's not a list that I can make public, obviously, but it's a struggle because most of what we do has been by mail. Historically, phone numbers for taxpayers have never been kept in the system. We've started, as we have contact with taxpayers, if they email us or call us, we try and get their phone numbers and emails into our system. But that's a real struggle. I know some municipalities, most of them bigger, have gone to actually having their tax bills right online where you can download them, but there's quite a cost to doing that. So I'm not sure, other than like, if that was just a one-time thing, then maybe it's worth making sure, and I can check with Kathy whether she's already done so, getting those arrears notices out sooner rather than later. Normally she does send them out after we've got the bills out, and I just need to confirm with her, and I can actually let council know if we did send out arrears notices. And they're like a one-page piece of paper in an envelope. So if truly the issue is anything that's of a thicker consistency for their sorting machine, then hopefully those would get to them. Unfortunately, like I say, it's not like we have a means to send out a group email to them. So
Go ahead.
Oh,
Joan?
I did, again, Nicole, through your, Mayor Logo. I'm just wondering, I think it's gonna have to be a two-stage position, a lot of staff time, unfortunately, but if you send out the arrears notices and those people come back and say, well, we didn't get our tax bill, it would be those people maybe that we would waive the $10 fee to. I'm just wondering how it would logistically work.
Do you have a thought, Nicole?
Through you, Mayor, and I don't really have an answer, because being able to tell whether someone didn't get their tax bill or they just say they didn't get their tax bill, I have no way of, you just have to assume people are being honest, right?
I'm just trying to figure out the best way to expedite this with the least amount of manpower or people power.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was your question, Deputy Mayor, but there's probably $1 million, and I don't know what that figure, there's probably $1 million in tax arrears at any given time. And that's what makes it difficult.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and I think one of the things we should be looking at, Nicole, and you know this too, is that if somebody's been in tax arrears for years, we're not going to include them on the one that's going to get their $10. They're only getting the $10 back because they're asking for a printed thing. If you're in arrears for a year or two, you're not coming in now and claiming that you didn't get your
Tax.
written tax bill, because we'd love to see if you owe us for.
Nicole, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor, and unfortunately, I understand where you're coming from, Councillor Booth, but part of what we are required to do through the Municipal Act is to apply it equally and with no bias to, amongst taxpayers, right? So, and that's where the struggle comes in when we have people ask to have a fee waived. When they come to me and do that, if I do it for one and not for another, now we're not applying this equally and equitably amongst the taxpayers. So can we say overall, if there's a period of time that we are waiving it, and if you're actually going back at all, then I would have to go back and see if there was any taxpayers that we did charge, and that's going to take some staff time. There's a GL account for admin fees that we use, but it's used for also, you know, statements. We get requests like from mortgage companies, that sort of thing that we do, especially at tax time, that wouldn't apply here. So going through that account and, you know, being able to earmark, I know that just from talking to staff, there aren't very many that have already paid that fee to get their tax bill. But there are some. So my thought would be is if you're going to set a time frame, like Mayor Logal has suggested, making sure you're creating a constraint, that if you're doing it from now forward, you may have those people saying, well, I paid for mine and when I didn't get it. So to me, if you know, we didn't start adding interest till March the 1st. So even if you were looking at any period after, I don't know, maybe even a week prior to the end of the month. So someone's like, I didn't get my bill and I'd like a copy and I'd like to pay, say February 24th, which was, I believe, the tax deadline, on to, I'm not sure where you want to go. I don't think you want to go into June, just because now we're looking at the next tax bill going out. So
I'm gonna suggest something and get your thoughts then, Nicole. Can we go to say that anybody that comes in and says that I did not receive a copy of my bill that was sent out in February, and therefore I will sign something that says I did not get it in February, I would like a copy, I'll get it now, and we stop that till the 15th of May or the end of May or whatever, something along like that. Because we want to get it cleared up, we want to be fair and make sure that we are treating everybody equally, and I think people will respect that. So I guess, you know, there's lots of different ways we could skin a cat, but I don't want to tell you how to do it, because you're probably, if we give you that plan, basically, could you take a look at it and see what you would recommend?
yeah, absolutely, I can do that.
Just one more thing. Don't want to beleaguer this any longer. Through you, Mayor Logal. Nicole, the other part of this that I was hearing from people is the ones that are on the payment system. They always got copies of their tax bills, but this year it appears that that's not the case. And those people are the ones too that want copies of their tax bills. And they always got them before, but this year it doesn't, it seems to be an issue. Is that something new?
Through you, Mayor, I don't don't believe it's something new. I think it's been actually happened in past. Anyone who is on pre-authorized payment would have actually, I think it was probably about a month prior to tax bills going out, that we actually send an update to all of our pre-authorized payment taxpayers to let them know what the new amount would be that going forward. Now, for those taxpayers, we did hold back and we did not print and mail the pre-authorized payment customers. And that's partially because A, it's not the final tax bill. And B, because when we send them out, it has caused confusion in the past because people are on pre-authorized payment and they've thought that now that we're saying that they owe money. So they will get them in June, the same as all the other bills. We will send out the final billing. So they will have that and it will show any payments up to that date. And they will also get a notice once the monthly amount changes as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And that, that's how it can get confusing because you get it one time, you don't get it the next, and then you say, well, I got it last time, but I'm not sure. No wonder we're in it. So I think I've made a recommendation that we ask Nicole to come back with us and see what you think is the best thing for us to do, recognizing that we may have to pay $10 refund. Is that fair? Would somebody want? Mike, you want to make a final comment?
Yes, and Nicole, if you could also, I know we talked about this when they asked you to bring the report together, but it was like so plan B, when people come in for their tax receipt and they don't want to pay the $10, so you can let them know how much they owe and they can pay that amount there and get a receipt. And has that been happening? And if so, has it been going okay? Because maybe is that the way to go? If just to let them know that say, hey, you'll get your receipt later, but this is what we can do for right now.
Through you, Mayor, anyone who has called in or come into the office inquiring, saying that they haven't got their tax bill, but they want to pay their taxes, what we have done is given them the amount. And we've also, going back the last month or two, have also let them know that the next deadline was in April and the amount for that as well. And then if they have made a payment in the office, we have given them a receipt. So they do have a receipt for their payment. And I have to say that the majority of our taxpayers are happy with that. And when I say majority, like I would say, 95% of people are quite happy to just get the amount, get it paid, and know that, the final tax bill is coming in June, and we hand them a receipt so they have proof of payment, and that seems sufficient to them. So.
Okay. Thank you. Joan, do you want to make the motion then?
Yes. I make a motion that we ask Nicole to come up with a plan to alleviate the fee for the taxes, and the easiest way to do that.
Is that good enough instruction, Nicole?
But on short term.
Pardon me?
Which she,
Yeah, just for anything with billed during the February billing.
the February billing. So I think you mentioned to the middle of May,
Yeah.
people would have that.
Yeah, that they don't come in
moratorium.
after if they haven't done something by the middle of May, then they lose out. Right?
Yep, that would work.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Greg. Any further comment? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Nicole. Great
Thanks, Nicole.
job. It's been a challenge for us and I think we have an agreement that that's the best way to do, and I'm happy to be moving forward. So thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it for me. Thank you.
Counselor Ainsworth,
No, that's good.
thank you. Counselor Mary Catherine.
Just that the Good Roads Conference has been a good experience. We'll be bringing something back to you. And one of the items today they spoke about was that letter we received at the last council meeting about the bus cameras. And I will be bringing back more information because the municipality does need to allow our buses to have those cameras.
Thank you. Counselor Booth.
Nothing at this time.
The only thing that I have is just reminder that keep the township clean. I've seen some yellow bags out there, so I know people are started to do some stuff. And I encourage everyone to partake, not only here in the council, but all of our residents as well. It's nice to have a clean township. Moving on, there's 4 proclamations that we're going to announce. First one is National Volunteer Week, which is April 16th and 22nd. Earth Day, which is coming up this Friday, April 22nd. National Day of Mourning, April 28th, and the First Responders Day for May 1st, 2023. Could I get a mover and a seconder to approve those proclamations? Moved by Councillor Booth and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any further discussions?
Just one thing. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Did you want to read those proclamations, Mayor Logan? I do have copies of them.
I don't think I have to do that, do I? I
Well,
can.
They will be in the meeting minutes,
Okay.
so we can post them there, and they are on the agenda for people to read.
Yeah. I think I can read one if you want, but they're basically the
that's
same.
fine.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I just wanted to, through your Mayor Local, bring attention to the National Volunteer Week, where we have the event in Centerton.
That's a good point. Yes, that's a good point. I seen
1
that.
to 3. And I didn't know if council was going to be attending that event.
I plan to, but you never know whether I can make
I
everything.
plan on it, but I didn't know what was being planned or anything like that. So,
I would say all of council are welcome to attend that if they have the opportunity. Okay. Thank you very much. Does anybody need a break? Oh, Mary Catherine? We can't hear you.
Sorry, will the flag be at half-mast during the National Day of Mourning?
Troy?
Through your worship, yeah, we usually put it on at half-mast. I
Thank
think we
you.
did it last year as well.
Good point, Mary Catherine. Then we'll do that. Okay, we're going to item 13, which is the closed session. So we'll ask Yolanda to take the necessary steps to do that. But first of all, I got to read the motion. That the council of the township of Alma-Culloden will be recessing to a closed section under section 239-2 to consider personal matters about an identified individual, including municipal or local board employees, relative to the review of a bylaw infraction and a concerning regard the conduct of a committee of council with the CAO, chief building official, bylaw enforcement officer, and clerk and deputy clerk remaining in attendance. Except the clerk will not be here because she's not here now, but I believe everybody else is here. Is Daryl going to be here?
Yes.
Yeah, he's here. Okay. And we'll do that at 7:55 PM. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth and seconded by Councillor Booth. You gotta look at these things. It's kind of confusing. All in favor? Carry. Okay, we finished our closed meeting and I'll make a motion to reconvene to our regular session. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Alma-Culloden reconvene to the regular session at 8:46 PM. Mover and seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. All in favor? Carried. Approval of confirming bylaw number 43, 2023, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council session held on Tuesday, April 18th, 2023. Be resolved as bylaw 43, 2023, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular session of council held on Tuesday, April 18th, 2023, be read and deemed passed this 18th day of April 2023, BL 43-2023, confirming bylaw regular council session, April 18th, 2023. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councilor O'Neill and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? Carried. Adjournment. Be resolved the regular session of council of Tuesday, April 18th, 2023 be adjourned at 8:47 PM. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Enjoy your rest of your evening.
Safe trip back.
All righty.